to the point where they approached me and they said, you know, if you want to be in, we can make this happen. And I said, I can't keep a secret. And I know what happens to you in the basis if you don't keep a secret.
All right, now we're coming to two of the most powerful ones to me in the show.
So this is the tragedy of Margaret Garner. And most of you may be familiar with it because you've seen the story Beloved, or you read the book Beloved. It's actually based on this character, who was able to actually escape slavery. She crossed the Ohio River in Cincinnati when it was frozen over. But because of the Fugitive Slave Act, they chased her across into Cincinnati, finally cornered her in this one house. But she took a knife and she killed her daughter. And she was going to kill her other two children and herself before they actually stopped her. It was interesting because when she went to trial, then the question becomes, she's property. She's not considered a person. So how do you deal with that? And ultimately, she was actually free. There was an episode where she and one of her daughters were crossing the Cincinnati River, Ohio River, and somehow the boat tipped over or something like that. And she lost another one of her daughters. Her daughter died in that accident too. But her attitude was that rather than allow her children to be enslaved and have to endure all those horrors, she decided that it would be best to just kill her daughters. So yeah, this piece was very emotional for me.
They asked her several days after why she killed her daughters and tried to kill herself, and she said, I'd rather send them home to God than back into slavery, which tells you how powerful that condition was. And she wanted to be tried for murder in Ohio, which was a free state, because she was hopeful that the governor, who was sympathetic, would then free her. But instead she was deemed property and wayward property, and so returned to her, enslave her. Which leads us to this piece, which involved a similar issue.
Yeah, this is Celia. And this all happened in Missouri, okay? Celia was enslaved in Missouri. Her master, a guy named Robert Newsom, his wife passed away, and he turned all of his attention to Celia. And he would rape her continually.
Who, by the way, was 14 when she became enslaved to him.
She went to his daughters and she tried to see if they would intercede in her behalf, and they didn't want to get involved in it, so it just kept happening. And one night, he came to see her and she picked up a log and hit him in the head. First time she struck him, didn't do it. The second time, kind of crushed his skull. So that night, she puts him in the fireplace and cooks him down. And the next morning, his grandson was running around. She convinces his grandson, you sweep up these ashes and take them somewhere. I'll give you a handful of peanuts if you do that. So his grandson actually spread his ashes around. For a week or so, they were questioning her as to what happened to Robert. And she kept saying, I don't know. And finally, after a while, she confessed. It's like, no, I took him out. Freedom fighter on the island of Guadeloupe. There was this period of about 4 years when the French actually gave up slavery, and then Napoleon decided to reinstitute it. And so for a while, these people were actually free, and then when their freedom was taken away from them abruptly, once again, that's when all kinds of shit hit the fan. So Guadeloupe she was known for being able to swing a machete. She'd be in the thick of the battles. She was a survivor on many levels. One of the things that I just recently found out in doing my research is that was that she actually had two different color eyes. One was brown and the other was blue. Okay. So I can't change that now. But he's a really interesting character. He was a big-time Mason. If any of you are familiar with Masonic orders. He was a magician. But his magic act always incorporated some sort of politics. So he was always addressing some of the disparities that he saw in society whenever he would do his magic act. I would kill to have seen one of his magic acts. One of his big followers was Sun Ra's mother. Okay. So Sun Ra's mother actually named Sun Ra after him.
Mark?
Oh, thank you. Pretty complex.
So for 3 months, it was the same controversy. Could she be tried as a woman, or was she property? And why that was important is, as a woman, there was a law in the books that said a woman can't be taken by force or is allowed to defend themselves if they are taken by force, up to including killing your attacker. So if she's a woman, she has self-defense. So it was a big debate legally. Is she a woman as a slave or not? And or as an enslaved person? And they decided, no, she's property. That controls, therefore she has no self-defense that a woman would have. And she's hanged the next day after the verdict. And it's just, in light of Roe versus Wade yesterday, you realize how people are characterized under the law is still so much at issue for us, and knowing these histories really affects how we view the law today.
What state had that self-defense against rape law?
This was in Missouri.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was progressive.
That was progressive.
Yeah, we didn't have that then.
Yeah. Well, the South did, have certain treat women, put them on a pedestal, not defending them in any manner, but maybe that explains that law.
This French fort, and they decided to blow themselves up as opposed to being taken. But, so they decided to hang her, but only after she gave birth, because they couldn't deal with the idea of destroying what was going to potentially become property.
Oh my God.
So she gave birth, hanged the next day. She was 30 years old. Fearless warrior, so she would go and charge in a battle, fully, obviously pregnant, wielding her machete.
And just like Nzinga over there, Nzinga used to carry an axe all the time. She knew how to use it. And she took some heads.
But she's quite famous now in Guadalupe. If you go,
Yeah, there's a statue that they put up there a few years ago. And actually, it's interesting because it exists. I might have been one at some point in the past. And then there's an interesting story about my father, who was in the service. And one of the jobs that he had, this is after World War II, was actually repatriating things that had been stolen from museums by the GI. And as a result, they made him an honorary samurai, which is an honor that apparently fewer than 100 people have. They gave him a small copper, which is like a short sword, and they gave him a 16th century samurai mask, which I still have. Most museums would love to have it. But anyway, it's like, I've always had this affinity for it, the whole code of honor thing and stuff like that. So Yasuke was a slave, he was enslaved. They believe that he came from northern Africa, Morocco. He was said to have studied in Timbuktu, and so he had, again, knowledge, stuff like that. He was taken by Jesuit missionaries. Jesuits were a couple of instances where they were expelled unceremoniously. But Yasuke, once he got there, they had never seen anybody black in Japan before. And there was a riot. And some 30-some odd people got trampled to death, trying to get to this guy. Okay. There was a warlord in the area that felt that maybe who will align himself with him because maybe he had special powers. You know, he had this aura about him that kind of drew people in. And so he had him trained in the samurai arts. And from what I understand, he fought in several battles, and he pretty much showed what he could do. But at one point, his warlord was cornered and was going to have to commit suicide. And Yasuke actually assisted in that because, you know, it's a matter of cutting your belly open. But you have somebody that's going to take your head off at the same time. And Yasuke was responsible for that. Little is known about him after this one episode. The belief was that he settled in some of the village outside of Kyoto, which, you know, I've never been able to find any record of when he passed away or anything like that. But this is, again, a very special piece. This is yours. Research actually doesn't point to the word boogeyman actually comes from the But there is another issue that's in the works. Okay, we talked about it. Okay, you will see it at some point. You will see it. Yeah, it's like, you know, all these guys have different abilities, and this guy. I understand that the process is in itself a meditation.
I was going to say, it feels so connected to like your meditation practice.
Exactly.
Yeah, every single part of it. I mean, even just applying gold leaf. It's like...
Well, gold leaf is kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Gold leaf is because it does what it wants to do. And the thing about these pieces that I've had to explain is the character of gold leaf changes over the years. So there's something about it that really speaks to the design.
Hey, it's Kat. I'm at the gallery, and I just want to say there's a lot of female warriors, black warriors, who kicked ass, burned rapists. Hey, it's Kat. I'm at the gallery, and I just want to say there's a lot of female warriors, black warriors, He kicked ass. Kern rapist. Phoenix, correct?
No.
That's not a phoenix? What, a firebird?
It's a griffin. It's a
What's the
griffin.
difference between the griffin and a phoenix?
Griffin is a mix of an eagle and a lion.
Yeah, but what's the definition of a phoenix? Is an eagle and a. We need a definition.
Phoenix is a bird that catches fire and burns up, and then comes back.
But but it's resurrected in a new thing.
Right.
I'm gonna go with they're close.
They're in the same family.
Thank you. But it's
Why not?
awesome.
Why not?
No, seriously. I'm taking that because it's an inside joke with my friend, but I didn't know Khalifa. I never knew this story. That's
I call her Calafia.
Calafia?
Some people say Calafia.
I don't know. I never know how to say words
I
right.
also was inspired by Kattalestv.
Hey,
There you go.
that's hot though. No one ever told me this. This is fabulous. I'm gonna have to dress up like her for Halloween.
For Halloween.
Do I have to show my nips? I'm leaving the gallery to go to the beach. It was fab. So if you want to see it, you have up to July 9th. But it's really, really spectacular. Very cool space. I'm gonna go to the beach. I've had an exhausting day. Oy. But that was great. I love looking at art. Yay! Talk to you guys later. Kattalestv. Bye.